I was driving along in the Roadmaster a few days ago, and we've had some really nice weather out here, and went to roll down all the windows, and ran into a bit of a problem that I'll show you guys. Let's see if I can turn the key on here. Gotta go to full on position on this car. On the Fords you can just go backwards to the accessory position. And that's what we have. It comes off its track, it looks like. And it's been doing that for a few days now. Very annoying, because it takes two hands to roll it up. And the auto down feature is no help, because when you want to try to keep it from falling forward like that, it wants to keep on going down. I can get it to go back up by using one hand to hold the switch open, or switch closed, and then using the other hand to push this thing back, but that's definitely not cool. The other windows on the car are okay. So what I need to do is go ahead and try to fix this thing. Problem doesn't appear to be too major. I mean, the motor is working okay. It's just that it fell off its track for some reason, so there's some issue with the window regulator. And I want to go ahead and try to get this door panel off. And it looks like somebody's already had problems with this door before and maybe repaired it and wasn't very careful getting the door panel off. Most people don't use the right tools, and on a lot of these cars you have these nylon fasteners, little push pins that go in there, and they can be so hard to pull out of the metal you'll actually bend the metal outward. These plastic door panels can't take that kind of force, so if you use the door panel to pull the fastener out rather than a tool with these two fingers out on the end of it that get behind it and pull, you'll damage the door panel in a hurry. That may be what happened here. I hope I can fix a good majority of this, but we'll see. But this does tell me that somebody's been in here before and most likely had this very issue. So I was getting some parts, other parts for this car, and I was at the dealership and mentioned the problem to the dealer, and one of the old-time servicemen was there and happened to hear the conversation, and he says, "What you need is a football." And I said, "I'm not really sure what you mean." And he said, "What you need is this window guide," which does kind of look like a football when you think about it. And this is not the original window guide for that particular car. They don't make those anymore. This is actually for a Buick LeSabre, but he assured me that you can separate the plastic guide here from this ball joint, discard this black piece, and then go ahead and snap it on to whatever area of the regulator is having the problem. So first thing to do is to go ahead and very carefully get this door card off. And that's going to require lifting this power window switch up first, which will probably expose some screws. Slide it forward, take out that screw, and then begin carefully pulling everything out. You can tell, because of that crack there, that they were not very careful the first time they did that. But we're going to try to get this thing off as carefully as possible, because I'm sure they're impossible to find in the junkyard. So let's get this thing off of here and we'll see what's going on inside and see if we can get this poor window fixed before it finally gives up and just falls right on down and never works again. Well, the carnage continues, and this is a very good point in time to point out why you should do this job yourself. As I mentioned before, it didn't look like they were too careful getting this thing off of here, and there's more evidence of that. Master switch assembly came out without much of an issue, but as you can see, they just pried back one of these locking clips as much as they could and just broke it off. Fortunately, there's another one on here to hold this big connector on there, and they don't tend to pop off anyway, so that's not a huge deal. By the way, I've always wanted to see what this Concert Sound 2 system was about. This looks like a tweeter assembly, which looks pretty cool. It's the original one, Delco Electronics. And it's even got this pretty nifty little crossover network, not only a capacitor, but also some kind of inductor. It is 4 ohms, but this looks like it's pretty good quality. I was thinking about maybe an upgrade down the road, but unfortunately the speaker looks like it's permanently attached. And I don't want to go messing around with taking this thing out of here and run the risk of damaging the plastic, which tends to be brittle on these older cars. Besides, this system sounds really good anyway. And you have to get this pull strap loosened up to get the speaker assembly out of here. And what you do is you just grab this end of it, pull it back to expose one of the screws, and take the screw out. As you can see, there's a hook on the end of this, and there was a plastic part there. They just forced it off. I can show you on this side what the clip is supposed to look like, right there. I basically just worked that piece out by lifting this pull strap up and down. And I thought that a luxury car like this would have illuminated entry, and sure enough it does, but they broke it. They broke it right off and just wrapped it around to keep it from rattling. So I'm going to try to see if I can find a way to put this light back on here. But other than that, now I'm at the point where I think I can go ahead and pull off the door panel. Let me get a couple of tools and try to do that, and hopefully we'll see what's going on in here. Well, the door card's finally off, and sure enough, every single fastener but one was just broken off, seemingly violently. You can tell they tried to do somewhat of a repair with a glue gun previously. But this door panel is just all messed up. Major cracks. Same kind of situation I had on the Crown Victoria, unfortunately, which is one of the reasons why I was kind of getting a little tired of the Crown Victoria, but maybe I can salvage this and use some epoxy or Gorilla Glue or something like that to make these repairs. You got to be really careful getting these things off of here because their plastic's really brittle. And sure enough, looks like the window track problem is what's causing the window to slide down. There's what one of the little football things look like in its normal position. And then over here you can kind of see what happened. It basically fell, cracked right on the top, and lost connection with the ball joint here, which you can kind of see on this new part. So it looks like this is actually going to work. Here's the part number if you're interested. All I have to do is snap this thing off of here and find a way to slide the broken one off, which doesn't want to come off because of a rivet right there, but I may end up pulling the whole regulator assembly out of here. I hope I don't have to do that, but let me do a little more digging and come up with a procedure. Okay, I've gotten the old part out. It self-destructed on me. I basically just took a screwdriver, got into some of the holes, and pried it out that way to the right. Out of this channel here, the rivet here, right there is the hard part. You have to get it over that. And I can tell already one of the problems, or one of the reasons why this failed, is just lack of lubrication. This channel here, the grease is all dried up. So what I'm going to try to do now is put a little bit of grease on here, and then take this piece in this direction, and we'll have to go in like that with it. There's no way to rock it into place. It's just too rigid of a part. The only way to get this in here is to go in this direction, and slowly work that in by taking a small hammer there and tapping that in. I think that's going to be pretty much the only way to do it. Even if I were to get the regulator completely out of the car, the back side is the same way. You still have that rivet. You would still have that problem of getting these sliders into place there. So I don't think that's going to buy me anything, taking everything apart. And I don't want to get into taking off the guide from the glass and everything, because that's riveted in as well. And I have a backup plan if that doesn't work. By the way, this just basically pops off the ball joint. It takes a little bit of force to get that to come off there, but it'll come off. And it looks to be the same part, so the dealer was right that even though this particular part is not the right one for the car, this part of the part, if that makes any sense, is the right one for the car. But they also have these help things you can get at the parts store which do the same thing, and they will work, but you can see what the problem is. They're just not as long as the GM OEM part, so you're concentrating a lot of force in a smaller area versus the GM component, so this is going to last a lot less than the original GM part. So I'm going to try to go ahead and drive this thing in here that way, and if I end up damaging this, which hopefully I won't, I have a plan B. I can go ahead and use the aftermarket roller and see if I have any better luck with that because of the rounded edges. I'm pretty sure this might be easier to go on, but I'm going to try to go in with the original GM part if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this channel as best I can, clean this, and slowly tap that in there without destroying the glass, or my nice OEM part here. We'll see how far we can get with it. Okay, I was able to manage to hammer this slider in, and just a little bit of play in there, which is fine. You want to, of course, hammer in that direction, but basically kind of like that, just light taps, because if you tap too hard, this glass will shatter into a billion pieces. Trust me, I've seen that happen. So I greased this part of the channel to make this part easy to go in. I'm just using regular wheel bearing grease there. I also lubricated the entire channel that the other slider rides in. It looks like this has never been done before. I'm not sure why the previous owner or shop had this panel off before. Everything in here looks original. Usually if they replace anything, they'll use nuts and bolts and not the rivets, but they may very well have used rivets to replace this regulator many years ago. Who knows? But it does look like it's OEM. So on the you can't see inside, unfortunately, but there on the regulator arm there's going to be another ball joint just like this, and all I've got to do is lubricate all up inside where the ball joint goes, and then take the regulator arm and put it in. These regulator arms can bend back and forth a little bit, particularly on the outer extremities, so I'll bend it back, slide this into position, and then put some force on the back side of this bracket here and basically snap the two together. It's going to be a little bit difficult because it was hard to get off of here. This plastic is not very soft, but I should be able to snap that back on in and then see if this window is going to work properly now. Well, that was a pretty miserable and tough job. Tougher than I thought it would be, but I think I finally got it done. Definitely took a lot of patience and time in 2 hands. I couldn't film it, but I just popped that thing in there and left my apparatus where it finished. So the trick was to get the window almost all the way down to the bottom and work through this access hole where the electrical connector is for the window motor, and use a very small C-clamp. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but that pin or ball joint got driven right on into the plastic slider with the C-clamp. Just nice and slow turning. I tried to use a combination of pliers and things like that, but that ended up making me a little nervous because, for one thing, you've only got one hand to work with. You don't have a whole lot of clearance here, and no matter how hard you try, it's very difficult to be completely parallel to the glass, and there's too much of a chance of getting at an angle and shattering the glass, just basically breaking it off at the edge at the bottom here. C-clamp was definitely the way to go here. That way you can apply smooth, constant force as this thing tightens on down, and when it actually bottoms out, it bottoms out rather softly. My concern was that once that thing popped in there, it might shatter the glass as well, but I think we're in. Now it's just going to be a matter of backing that thing out of here. And seeing what that looks like. It's either in or the plastic's broken. We'll find out. I think that's going to be in there. Let me hook up the power window connector. And we'll energize the system here. It's weird you have to go to full on this car to get the accessories to work instead of backwards, but that's a minor difference between that and most of the cars I've worked on. I'm just making sure that we're all clear. Let me get this clamp out of here so you guys can see what that looks like. I haven't measured it, I don't know what size it is, but that's a pretty small C-clamp, and that's exactly what you're going to need to get that thing in there, or at least that's the best way I could figure out how to get it in. And we'll see if this window wants to go up and down now. So far, so good. Oh yeah, nice. I'm going to go ahead and exercise this a little bit more. And finish lubricating the track. Just work that grease all up and through there. And try to do the same on this side. But you can kind of see how this works. There's two little, they act like little scissors, and they go in and out like that, and as they do, these sliders slide back and forth to move the glass up and down. My temptation was to work through this access hole, but the position of this rivet where the ball joint is blocked by the metal, and I don't want to cut into this car. I don't want to cut any holes in here just to make room for the repair. And I certainly didn't want to go through all the trouble of getting the regulator and motor out of here and all that kind of stuff. So this repair is actually doable like that. But the only special tool you'll need is that C-clamp, that real small C-clamp, and generous amounts of grease to prevent this from happening again. And you'll be in good shape. Hopefully that backslider here is going to last me a good long while now that it's lubricated. So the thing to do now is to go ahead and put everything back together, including this sad and sorry door panel. I'm going to have to repair this, or come up with some kind of way to repair this as best I can. They don't make these anymore. I might just go ahead and put it on like it is and save that for another day, because that's going to be a whole nother project. But it looks like the driver's door was the only door that that got damaged when they were fixing it. It doesn't look like the passenger side got removed at all. It's in really good shape. At some point I'm probably going to end up taking off all these door panels and lubricating the window slider mechanisms to prevent this from happening again. But anyway, let me go ahead and get this door panel back on here and do one more final check. Well, it's actually a day later in this repair, believe it or not. I went ahead and decided to go ahead and repair this door panel as best I could. And I got all new fasteners, nylon fasteners for it, and went around with a glue gun and tried as best I can to glue the retainers back in place. It's pretty strong, but not as good as new, obviously. This door panel was pretty well beat up, so I don't really have a whole lot to work with. Hopefully this glue is going to have just enough strength to keep this door panel nice and tight against the door. I went ahead and lubricated everything with some spray grease, and that is so free now I could just use my pinky to move that. That was a little bit sticky before. So I'm going to go ahead and get this door panel on, and we'll see what everything looks like and do another window test. Well, the door panel is all on, and I'm happy to say that it is a little bit better. It's never going to be perfect because whoever took this off before just basically ripped it off. All the screws are stripped out, all the fasteners were broken off from the plastic, so there's not really a whole lot to work with. There's a huge crack here that I glued, did the best I could, but it's a lot better than it used to be. And particularly on that edge, mostly flush, and it's nice and tight. So let's see finally how this window works. Nice. You remember that that window was leaning down like that and falling off the track. So I call that a good repair. If you guys need to do this, you can use these parts if you can't find the original part, but I would recommend going ahead and getting this particular part number right there. Even though this is not for a Buick Roadmaster, it does have that little plastic sleeve on there that you need, and will work just fine. So hopefully this will help you guys fix your power windows on your GMB bodies. I'm pretty sure it's a fairly common problem given the age of these cars. I'm going to go ahead and at some later date take off all the other door panels and lubricate everything before I have an actual failure like I did here, where it's possible that it could start raining and get the interior all wet.